Hey everybody, Doug here from Revin TV. Glad to have you with us. Thanks a lot for coming by and seeing what we're up to. Today we're at a car show, Cruisin' in East Tennessee. And you know what? We have found a lot of really cool cars with really cool paint jobs. And one of the things that we've noticed a lot of people are doing, even if they have a so-so paint job or even patina, they're adding pinstriping to their cars' features, and it really helps it to stand out. So we sat down with Kyle Ford and asked him his thoughts and what his philosophy on pinstriping was. Check it out.
I'm Kyle Ford and I do pinstriping and sign painting. I've been doing this about 10 years now, full-time probably the last 5 or 6 years. I enjoy doing it. I get to do what I want to do every day, so that's fun, you know. Originally, when I was in high school, I did like some custom knife making stuff with my friend Tom, and you know, knives and bikers and stuff, they all kind of go together, so we always had, you know, bikers over and on Harleys. And one day this old feller named Johnny Hayes came by on it was a black Road King, and he had just had it striped at Sturgis. And I didn't grow up around like hot rods. Like, I didn't even know, I'd seen these designs, but I thought they were all stickers. Like, I didn't know anything about it. And I was about 16 at the time. And so I got to looking at it. They had these long red lines all around it, and I was like, it looks like someone painted that on there with a paintbrush, you know, because it's not perfect and you can see the brush marks. It's been around since the early 1800s. It kind of originally started as what's called coach lining, which is just like the long lines you see on like horse-drawn carriages and stuff, just to kind of make them set out from, you know, your neighbor's horse-drawn carriage. You know, you want to deck yours out so yours is better than your neighbor's. That's what it's all about, you know. And the design work really came around on doing it on cars. The design work specifically, not just the coach lining, probably in the 50s with a fella named Von Dutch. And he really made it popular in the hot rodding scene. He's where you get like the flying eyeball cartoon from and all that. And so then people started taking it on their own. The lowrider community has their own style they like. And there's a lot of different flares and different ways you can do it. You know, and modern pinstripers are really changing the game with it and adding in new elements and intricate designs that you've never seen before. You know, I started doing it, and then, you know, friends would want me to do stuff on their cars, and, you know, acquaintances, and then it just started doing shows when I got out of high school, and it just kind of snowballed from there. They kind of come up with themselves. I just kind of happens, you know. I can kind of see it in my head, kind of where I want it to flow out to, and I know what lines are going to look bad and which ones aren't, just from doing it for so long, but they're all different and unique, and I just kind of make them up as I go. And so I don't really do a lot of social media stuff, just so my stuff can be unique and different from everybody else's. But I tend to really stick towards what I would call, which maybe is not the right way to call it, more modern design work, you know? So it's still like got the hot rod flair to it, but it's not as scratchy and crazy. It's more clean and modern. Pinstriping's different from, like, you know, going to a tattoo artist or going to a portrait artist or anything else, because a lot of times it's really more what the pinstriper wants to do than it is what the customer wants to do. And I know that sounds wrong, but in reality, you know, I'm the one that does it every day. I kind of know what's going to look right, and I'm not even sure a customer could really describe what they want. You know what I mean? Like, because who knows, you know? Like, you go to a tattoo artist and you say, I want this lion and this wolf, and I want them to be fighting each other. But every pinstriping design is unique and has to be different depending on what you're painting it on. And it's really, I guess it's more in the artist's hands, you know? So you kind of got to trust the artist, and you got to find the artist that you like, that their style. Like, you can look at a pinstriping artist who's been doing it for a long time, and you can kind of differentiate their work from this other person who's been doing it a long time, because you kind of develop your own style, like a way you do your designs. especially how you start them, like your center lines and stuff. They're all unique to different artists. I can kind of see what's attractive to me, and I try not to like look at other people's work because I don't want it to be influenced into my work. Yeah, they kind of just come to me. I've been doing it long enough that I kind of know what looks good, you know, and what I should do and what I shouldn't do, and I try to steer people in the right direction, you know, the best I can. I think really the innovation comes in like the intricacies of it, especially with new technology, specifically with like lettering is something that pinstripers will need to do, you know, like truck lettering and things like that. And so I use, you know, programs to illustrate out my lettering before it's done, so I can show the customer, you know, this is what's going to kind of look like when we get done with it. They can have like a graphic image of it so we can design it out how they want it. I don't do that with my pinstriping designs, but I do that with my truck lettering. I do sign painting. I manufacture some signs. If you're going to be a pinstriper, you're going to have to do lettering. And so it kind of all just kind of falls hand in hand, the sign painting, the lettering, the pinstriping, it's all kind of one and the same. Traditionally, I don't think a lot of sign painters were pinstripers, but if you're going to make a living out of this, you have to be kind of flexible. I use dry brushing techniques when I do patina work. So if I'm doing a truck that's old and I want it to look aged and patinaed, I'll use a flattening agent to flatten out my paint, and I'll dry brush on my letters to make them look like they're aged and they've been on there for a long time. The way that modern cars are now, where they're kind of got really sharp lines, it seems like, I think we're going to see a lot more of it on higher end modern cars, especially because people are always going to modify their cars, you know, especially like the foreign cars, like the Lamborghinis and the Ferraris and stuff. Their lines, you know, people wanting them to look different from all the rest of them. I think we're going to see a lot of clean design work and things like that kind of have a resurgence, because there's nothing like it, you know. If you have a fancy car and it's been painted by someone who is an artist doing this one thing, you're going to have the only one out there because there's not a lot of it being done. But I think we're going to see more of that.
Okay, so Kyle has done a fantastic job on the old Revin TV Project 55 pickup truck, and well, I brought it outside here because I wanted you to see how it turned out. So take a look. I think you'll agree. Turned out great.